Sony, we have to talk. Some of these moves, most of these moves, coming from the Blue brand lately, the people running things over at the House of PlayStation gotta be on some shit if they think things are headed in the right direction. So yeah, I think it's time for an intervention. It honestly feels like whenever one of these companies is on top of the gaming industry, like they're contractually required to do whatever they can to throw the lead away. As soon as we think they can't be touched, can't be stopped, they go into free fall. And that's how I feel about Sony lately. Not that they're necessarily in free fall or something like that. No, they're still doing phenomenal. But it's almost like they're headed in that direction with some of these decisions that seem almost designed to make people hate them. I did a video recently about them closing down their various PlayStation stores for the PS3, Vita, and PSP. Another big win for digital games, right? As you'll no longer be able to buy those digital games on those systems anymore. No growing your digital library, definitely no starting one if you pick up one of these systems later. Yeah, your only option if you want to buy games on those systems anymore is to buy them physically, and yet there will still be people saying, oh, I'm ready for the end of physical games, I'm ready to go all digital. Who wouldn't want to just not be able to buy games anymore for a system after it's not even 10 years old? I saw there was this other story more recently about something with the PS4's internal battery, like if it goes bad, people are reporting that you can't play any games, even physical games, while the system is offline. Of course, to reiterate, what happens when the PS4 servers inevitably one day go offline? Does that mean your system, your games are just, they're all useless? And of course, why is this even a thing? Like, why would this battery issue tie into whether or not you can play games offline? Doesn't make any sense, at least to me. Also, and this is one I'm kind of pissed didn't get a little bit more attention, that they're killing off Japan Studio, putting some of the devs into like an Astro bot team, but laying off the majority of them. You're gonna put an end to the studio that gifted the world the likes of Knack?
Here comes the money.
Did someone say
Here
Nick?
comes the money.
Oh, bam, baby, it's Nick, baby, yeah.
In seriousness, they did so many great games. I get many were a bit more niche, stuff like Gravity Rush, Ape Escape, the Siren games, I actually really enjoy those. But this is a studio that took risks to bring us games that sure aren't for everyone, but you weren't going to get a game like that from anyone else, which means now you're not gonna get games like that anymore. Which sort of leads me into the most recent thing Sony hasn't officially announced, but is said to be doing. You want to talk about the complete opposite of taking risks. A Last of Us Remake. We're hearing about this from all sorts of people now with connections into these companies. Like, there's a lot behind this rumor, but I still can't believe it. A game that came out just, 7 or 8 years ago is getting a full-on remake. Like, when we get remastered versions of these games that are, a generation or two old, I totally get that. I don't get charging full price for them much of the time, like we saw with the original Last of Us coming out for PlayStation 3 and then having Last of Us Remastered released like a year later for another full $60. So it's like, oh, you bought it on PS3 for $60 and you want to play that game on your PS4 now with a higher frame rate, higher resolution? Well, you better pony up 60 more bucks. But doing an actual remake for a game that's only a few years old, that's a lot more work and development time. And of course, obviously for one, does this game need the remake treatment at all? Even just a little bit? I mean, I booted up the original Last of Us Remastered on PS5, so the best version, but it is one you can play right now today. And yeah, maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I'm spending too much time with the Switch, but I seriously can't imagine anyone looking at this and being like, oh man, this really needs a remake. It's so dated. It still looks better than a lot of modern games we're getting now, in my opinion. And I mean, if we're doing a Last of Us remake with the franchise itself being so young, why are we remaking the amazing masterpiece that is the original Last of Us when Part 2 is the one that actually sucks? Like a Last of Us Part 2 remake, I could kind of get behind that, completely overhaul like the second half of the game and, go a little bit of a different direction, like making it good. And you could actually have something that lives up to the original. And of course, with this news, people have been talking about all the dead PlayStation franchises that could actually use dusting off, have a big revival, whether it be with a new entry or a full-blown remake. Games that aren't even getting the remastered treatment. Titles like Bloodborne, we can't even get a PS5 update, even just to make the game run at 60 FPS. We can't get that for Bloodborne, but The Last of Us needs a remake. The new Skyrim over here. Not to mention, news broke alongside this that Sony Bend got the shaft on making a sequel to their Days Gone game that sure wasn't the best or anything. I know Days Gone is not anywhere near in the stratosphere of like a Last of Us, but I think they had some good ideas about making an actual open world survival game with Days Gone, and I would have liked to see what they would do to build on that groundwork. But no, that doesn't have the appeal, the safety really, of a Last of Us remake, which, don't get me twisted here, similar to with like when I talk about Pokemon, while I'm totally against a Last of Us remake, I'm not saying that the game wouldn't sell, wouldn't be successful. That's what makes it safe. You're taking a game that people already love and finding another reason to sell it to them again, probably for a full $60. So you sold them Last of Us on the PS3 for $60, Last of Us on the PS4 for $60, and now Last of Us on the PS5 for $60. And when that comes out and the game is successful, you got to ask yourself, does this become a trend now where other companies are remaking games that are also, like less than 10 years old to begin with? We just end up getting the same shit regurgitated over and over again because it's safe. We already poke fun at a lot of companies doing these like endless franchises that get sequels perhaps every 2 years or even every single year. They could start going, hey, we could do something even easier and just remake the games we've already done. Why make a 20th Assassin's Creed or whatever when we could just do remakes of 1 through 19 instead? Please God, no. And yeah, all these decisions I think is just hurting the perception of the PlayStation brand. And to be clear, it's not like I'm saying PlayStation is in jeopardy right now or really even close to it, but I think this mindset extended over a couple of years could really start to steer people away from PlayStation. Don't forget, going into this generation, I said I think the PS5 is going to be the system to go with. This was just like 6 months ago. So it's like, Sony, you know what you're making me look like now for saying that back then? I'm not going to say what I look like, but you know. And I mean, if this was the start of last gen, and you were competing still against like the original Xbox One Microsoft, the Don Matrick Microsoft that touted Kinect as the future of gaming, yeah, you could probably get away with these moves and not have much to worry about. But now you're dealing with the Phil Spencer Xbox, the one that came out of the gate with a legit system, no gimmicks. Game Pass, which is by far the best value in gaming today and continues to just get better by the day, adding more and more games like day one that you have to pay $60 for on every other platform. I mean, I'm playing Outriders right now, and I would have probably passed on this game completely, like not even checked it out, if it wasn't on Game Pass, which I'm already paying for. But I've been really enjoying it, and I'm thankful that it was on there for me to take a look at. Which, let's not forget, one of their recent big announcements in that regard, MLB The Show. The until now PlayStation exclusive franchise. Not only is it going to be on Xbox day one, but it's also going to be on Game Pass day one. This is a PlayStation Studios game, guys, okay? A first-party title. And it's not only coming to Xbox day one, but Xbox players get the better deal, as on PlayStation, you're only able to buy it at the full $60, but on Xbox, it'll be on Game Pass included with your $10 a month subscription. To reinforce, because it's worth reinforcing, a PlayStation Studios game is a better value on Xbox. I mean, just think about that for a second, where we are. I mean, we're talking about the company that just dropped, what, like $7.5 billion, no big deal, on Bethesda, and they've been joking about how they're still looking for more studios to buy. And while we're not 100% sure on what the exclusivity is going to be like for all these games, Phil Spencer did say in a recent interview that the Bethesda deal in specific was all about making exclusives for Xbox. They've had a huge preservation push with all this backwards compatibility stuff, allowing you to play old generation games, the physical games, mind you, on the new consoles. So here it's like, Xbox is letting you play original Xbox 360 games on the newest Xbox Series X. And then here's people on the PlayStation side being like, oh, I'm having trouble playing my PS4 games on my PS4. Yeah, it makes you look great. And so again, my mind is sort of just, looking into the more distant future with a lot of these moves. And it's like, as soon as next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft is talking about something like Elder Scrolls 6, perhaps being an Xbox exclusive. And, Sony, you're going to come back at them with a Last of Us Remake? I mean, is that seriously what you want to do? And I'm not trying to downplay Sony's games. They have a far superior lineup right now in terms of the PS5 launch and what's coming soon. I mean, I'm super excited for games like the Kano, Ratchet and Clank, right? And Xbox does not have the best track record in terms of their first party over the last entire generation, really. But they definitely have the resources, the teams now, to quickly turn things around in that regard. And yeah, it's like these decisions Sony is making feel like they're also interested in turning things around for the worse. And I mean, at the end of the day, I want everyone to succeed, and that's why, I'm saying, Sony, you really got to cut it out with this shit. I think you're still looking strong right now. I think most people, as of today, would still rather buy a PS5 over a Series X, but that can change in an instant. It only takes a couple of great games to start pulling people towards one side or the other. And if we talk about just the straight decision making on each side these days and the implications it can have for the future, even the near future, I don't think these decisions you're making are going to result in the best outcomes. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Sony's decision making lately in the comments. Are you worried about the direction they're heading? And do you think things could change in favor of their competition in the near future? As always, I'm the Shy Guy, Johnny Zakari, and thanks for watching.